Cole Kmet, after yesterday's game, talked about the Bears and kind of what he's tired of as far as losing with this team. And I'm going to talk about on today why everybody on the Chicago Bears needs to just shut up. And I know that that's probably not the most PC thing to say, but everybody needs to shut the hell up because y'all all suck. We're going to talk about that, plus Caleb Williams and his performance through his rookie season. We're also looking at Ben Johnson, and now people saying that Ben Johnson is expected to interview for the Bears head coaching job. And why that's important is Ben Johnson has already said that he's going to be very selective on teams that he interviews for their head coaching position. We'll talk about all that plus more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So, of course, after the game, we get comments from everyone, as always. And Cole Kmet had some specific comments in regards to it's just not good enough. That's basically what it came down to. You know, he talked about, and he was even asked, like, well, Caleb Williams' growth. And he said, yeah, it's good to see young players growing, but listen, it was 34-17, right? We're not doing enough out there. And while I do love it, and Cole Kmet is saying the right things, make no mistake about it. Him, DJ Moore, Jalen Johnson, these guys are saying the right things when you look at it in the scope, in a narrow view. But overall, I'll say this: it all don't matter because y'all part of the problem too. And while I'd much rather have players saying the right thing than, of course, the wrong things, that goes without saying, right? You do need to show some shape, form of leadership, and all those things play a huge part and role into this. But Cole Kmet, you're part of the problem. Caleb Williams, you're part of the problem. DJ Moore, you're part of the problem. Jalen Johnson, you're part. There's nobody that can escape a team going on a 9-game losing streak, and you're not part of the problem. Nobody is abstained from being part of the problem. And I know, when you're after a game, there are going to be reporters that shove mics in your face, and you're going to say something, and you're expected to talk. But when it all comes down to it, I'm tired of the talk. Talk is cheap for the Chicago Bears. And if y'all can't tell by where I was at the start of the season to where I am now, even at the starting of this losing streak to where I am now, my tolerance for the bullshit from Bears players has become very, very, it's very small. I'm just tired of hearing the same shit day in and day out. Everybody's saying the right things, but when you look at the performance out there on the football field, what are we seeing? Right? And it's above just blaming one player. It's above just blaming the offensive line. It's above just blaming whatever you want to blame. It's if you're blaming one player, if you're blaming one aspect of any of this, and it's not even just blaming Ryan Poles. Yes, he has his failures as well, but you think he's telling this team to perform in some of the ways that they are when they've performed better? Right? It's not like if you got the wrong talent, you got the wrong talent. Kieran Amagaje sucks, right? But we've seen some of these guys play much better than what they've played prior, and they're still and they're playing less than that now. That speaks to a culture. The Bears culture fucking sucks right now. The Bears culture, the little bit that we were trying to build, or we thought we were building, it's broken. It's done. It's demolished. It's on the floor, shattered in pieces, and it's time to pick those pieces up and try to forward something better going forward if you got the goddamn sense to do so, right? And that's what it comes down to with the Chicago Bears team. Can they do it? Will they do it? That remains to be seen. But overall, there's some things to take away from this. And I've seen the number of articles that say, hey, the Bears got a lot of problems, but Caleb Williams isn't one. We'll talk about, Caleb Williams' performance, and he's performing well, but he's still part of the problem. Make no mistake about it. There's nobody that's dodging the smoke here. Nobody, right? Nobody that's dodged. Maybe if one person could dodge the smoke, maybe you would say Jaquan Brisker because he's been out with injury, right? But even then, no, nobody's dodging the smoke here. I need less talk and more action, right? And I know the players can only do so much. They don't decide the roster. All those things are very true, but it has to come down to this. They got to get this shit together. And I know that's clearly. Everybody says that, everybody understands that, everybody at this point completely is on the same page that it's time for the bullshit to stop, and it's time for the Bears to actually improve. And we'll see what they can do this offseason. This is an offseason where I truly believe the Bears can do a lot, right? The Bears have a lot of assets at their disposal between the draft capital. A lot of the positions that the Bears do need to fix, they're available in this draft and should be available at the slots where the Bears are selecting. This is an offseason where if Ryan Poles doesn't at least turn a lot of this around, you're gone. That's it. You're gone. Between coaching, the offensive line, there's a lot. There's safeties in this draft. There are several running backs that you can get later in this draft if you want to shore up your running game to make that more dynamic. There's a lot of things and possibilities here. But listen, the talk is cheap. The time for talk is done. You got to put those results on the football field. And while the rest of the season, we're not expected to see those results, so I'm not, we got 2 games left. Let's get through these 2 games without suffering any type of majoring long-term injuries to any of our key players. Let me knock on wood, because now that I say that, that'll be the next fucking thing that happens. Let's get through that, and let's get on. Let's start getting the shit that we need to get done, so then we can move the fuck on, right? And stop talking about a struggle of a team and actually maybe finally start talking about a team that can actually do some shit, right? That's the key thing. Now, a big part of the Bears' future, at least we all hope that he's going to be part of the Bears' future, of course, is Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams, when you look at it, he's had some solid performances. Now, again, I'm not saying perfect performances before the keyboard warriors get to type and say, oh my God, how can you guys keep ignoring the fact that Caleb Williams is overthrowing? Yes, he's overthrowing and he needs to get that together. Nobody's ever thought, well, some of y'all did think Caleb Williams is going to come in day one and be perfect, and y'all crazy in that case. But when you look at it, his performances over the NFC North so far, right? Leave some positivity, right? 119 of 188 as far as passes. That's a 63%. He also averages 306 yards per game against the NFC North. He also was thrown for 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is 98.98 passer rating against teams in the NFC North. Listen, I'm not saying that alone, but that's one thing that we've always talked about, is that we want to be able to play well and compete well within our division. Now, we haven't gotten the wins, and that's the thing that ultimately everything matters for. Is like, you can have the greatest stats in the world. If you're not getting wins, it only matters so much, right? But Caleb Williams has shown the progression in what is the deepest division, the toughest division in football, minus the Chicago Bears, unfortunately, this season, right? Every family has its black sheep. And so Caleb's performance against the NFC North has been really good. Now, one of the legitimate criticisms is that sometimes it does seem like Caleb Williams is playing not to not throw interceptions, which for somebody who's coming into this league known as a gunslinger, that is a little bit of a concern. That's kind of the mindset. You don't want Caleb Williams developing that mindset, but he's right up there as far as the longest streaks, as far as not throwing interceptions. He's right up there. He's making history, right? He's approaching top 5 category when it comes down to it. Right now, Caleb Williams is 326 pass attempts without throwing an interception. Number 5 is Derek Carr with 332. Number 4 is Tom Brady with 358. Jared Goff with 383. Tom Brady's also number 2 with 399. And then Aaron Rodgers with 402. All-time top 5. Caleb Williams has an opportunity to get into that top 5 in the next game. And, what would that mean? I would love to go back and look at those quarterbacks' winning records, their records over that time of not throwing that, because I guarantee you they probably got a lot more wins than Caleb Williams does over that time period. But, Caleb Williams is he's improving, and that's a big thing to see over the course of this rookie season. And while there are a lot of people this offseason that thought I was crazy when I said, hey, Caleb, fuck that generational title, he's going to go through a rookie season. And there have been some great quarterbacks to have some terrible rookie seasons. The question isn't now, because the rookie season is basically in the books. It's been a bad season for the Bears. Caleb Williams has had his spots, but he's had his negatives as well. He's had his things that show that have some concern for the future. But overall, the Bears got their quarterback. Now, you got to go out and shore some things up. And how Caleb Williams grows and develops between years 1 and 2 is going to be really a test for, is Caleb the quarterback that he thought, that he says he wants to be? Because this should be a season, and I said it on the Saturday mailbag or the Friday mailbag episode, the humbling of this season and what it is for Caleb Williams, to put in perspective of what it's going to take to really be a quarterback in this league. It's going to take a lot, and this isn't easy. You can have all the talent, you can have the biggest arm in the world. That doesn't mean shit necessarily for winning football games. And Caleb Williams has to get it together. The last 5 games, Caleb Williams has thrown 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and has 100+ passer rating in 3 of those games. So, listen, the signs for improvement are there. Again, the signs that he needs, still things that he desperately needs to work on, are also there. He also passed the 3,000-yard mark, which he became the seventh quarterback in franchise history to throw for at least 3,000 yards. That's a 105-year history, and we just don't have a lot. But again, wins. That's what everything, like, we can, this season isn't going to be won or lost. It doesn't make people feel better about the fact that we got a Bears quarterback that's breaking records. We ain't winning shit. We're in the midst of a 9-game losing streak. Should nothing be celebrated for right now. Now, I do want to acknowledge that I'm not celebrating shit, right? He's 5 yards away right now from cracking top 5 all-time passing season for a Bears quarterback. When you look at Jay Cutler in 2010, 3,274. He's right there passing that. He can pass that in the first drive of next game, right? And he does have a chance to reach the number 3 spot when you look at Jay Cutler, 3,666 yards. That 666 is a little bit concerning. But, he has a lot of time to get some rookie records, but all that doesn't matter. What I would rather be talking about is Caleb Williams breaking the rookie record for wins for the Chicago Bears. That's what I'd rather be talking about right now, right? And so, listen, he's make records with the touchdown to interception ratio through his first 15 starts, right? He's the 5th quarterback all time with 15 or more touchdown passes and 5 or fewer interceptions in the first 15 career starts. He joins Robert Griffin III, Damon Huard, Dak Prescott, and C.J. Stroud. Shout out to you there, right? And one of 2 touchdowns, one of 2 quarterbacks to throw multiple touchdowns against the Lions so far this season. It's him and Josh Allen. Great. Caleb's done it twice. Cool, right? All that's fine and dandy. All that's great to put on like a bulletin board, but none of that matters for trying to win football games. Well, it matters to try to win football games, but we haven't won shit in that time. Are we talking about one of those games where we beat the Lions? No, we're not. We're talking about losses, right? That's the thing we keep talking about is I'm tired of losing, right? As a Bears fan, I'm sure many Bears fans are going to rock with me on that one. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of talking about a losing franchise year after year. I'm tired of looking at this team every single season, and it keeps being, we got some bright spots, but what the fuck are we doing out there? Struggling. That's what we're doing out there right now. It's a bunch of struggle. Yes, there's been a lot of dysfunction with the Chicago Bears, and Caleb Williams has looked pretty damn good at times in certain areas, but some big damn concerns in that as well. And let's hope that we can start turning those concerns around and we can start winning some football games next year. And one of those things are going to help with that, hopefully, is the head coach. Now, this one came out yesterday before the game. Tom Pellerissio and Courtney Cronin both said that Ben Johnson is expected to interview for the Bears coaching job this offseason. Now, why is that important, right? And usually interviews are looked at, okay, good, you're going to interview a guy. But it's been widely stated and expected that Ben Johnson is not going to just take interviews to take interviews. Any interview he takes is with the intention of him seeing himself coaching that team. So that's a big part into this as well. What also is going to be a big part of that, when you pair that what we heard earlier in the season about Ben Johnson, he wants to hear from any front office that he interviews with what they feel their place is and where things went wrong and what do they plan to do and to fix the things that went wrong with the team. Again, putting onus on the front office to fix the things that they decided to go left. So that's great, right? And I'm not somebody who thinks that Ben Johnson is ultimately the savior. Shout out to like Bulls Daily, who's one of the commenters here, who's like, oh, after we take the Lions OC, they're not going to be able to rebound mentally from that. And listen, no, they have a great head coach that actually is a leader of men. And I think they'll be fine because I think he has a really good mind on selecting the right offensive coordinators to help shore up things that he doesn't have. But the question is not about how the Lions can rebound from that. I don't give a fuck. I care about who you hire and what does that mean for the future of the Chicago Bears. That's the most important thing here. I don't care about anybody else, but I care about the Bears first and what the Bears are going to be able to do here. And having somebody like a Ben Johnson that reportedly he's much like Caleb in the sense that Caleb Williams came into this league thinking about legacy and thinking about what he wants to do, what he wants to accomplish. Ben Johnson has a very clear mindset on what he wants to accomplish when he does accept a head coaching role. Now, will that be with the Bears? We'll see. But I tell you what, I want the Bears to hire somebody that's going to hold their asses accountable, that's going to put them in a position where they're going to have to make sure every move they make is about getting this team and improving this team. And Ben Johnson is going to be one of those guys who demands that coming in. Now, are there concerns about Ben Johnson? Absolutely, right? There is. Like people have said, is he the type of leader? And no, not just because he's an offensive coordinator means he's a leader of men in the sense of the way that we're talking about it here, right? So there's that question. Darius left a voicemail, a week or so ago asking, is Ben Johnson going to be the next Matt Nagy? I don't think that. I think that him actually calling plays, whereas Matt Nagy didn't. I think that there's that. Ben Johnson also talked about Caleb Williams. He said this: "It's been difficult to just sit down and study every throw, but there's no question that this guy is talented. I remember standing on the sideline last game, and you could hear the ball whistle by you. He's got quite a fastball, has some creativity to him, can extend plays, and is accurate down the field as well. Got to work on that accuracy. But like I said, I haven't really dove in and can't tell you much beyond that, but he's been impressive from afar." And so, yeah, alignment is what we've talked about. You want whoever you bring in here as your next head coach to be in alignment for the vision that this franchise sees for Caleb Williams. And is Ben Johnson that guy? That's what we're going to see, right? And another important part of all of this that I think some, not all Bears fans, but some Bears fans do overlook, getting the right head coach is good, right? But you got to also trust that head coach to go out and get the right coordinators to help them in areas that they need help, right? And I really would love to see if and when Ben Johnson gets the job or whatever head coaching job, how does Ben Johnson go about selecting his coordinators? Does he go veterans, right? Whereas Matt Eberflus went rookie coordinators with a rookie head coach. I think that it will be important for Ben Johnson to get some veterans there on his staff, regardless of whatever his future is, regardless of how good he is, regardless of how creative he is, to get in some veterans because, yeah, you just kind of need a little bit of that mindset to go with you. And so we'll see what happens there. I know a lot of Bears fans have said, like, Lovey, if he can get Lovey as his DC, I'll tell you this. If we hire Ben Johnson as our head coach and one of his first moves or one of his moves is bringing in Lovey Smith as a defensive coordinator, that would tell me a lot about what I need to know about Ben Johnson and how successful he can be as a head coach. It still all matters on the football field, but if you're able to bring in somebody, A, who Bears fans love, B, who's also going to help establish a culture in this, because that's what the Bears need as well, establish a culture and an expectation, and also Lovey Smith and what he can do, regardless of how you view Lovey. And that's if Lovey even wants to get back into coaching. That's if Lovey even wants to be a defensive coordinator. But I would love if you can get Lovey Smith as your defensive coordinator. Now, this is just the fan me. Have not heard or read anything about this from other Bears fans, but nobody higher up or anything like that. If you can get Lovey to come in here as your DC, I think that shows a very smart and intelligent head coach that is thinking about, let me make sure I put in pillars that are going to help me be successful in this league. That's my personal opinion. You guys can let me know how you feel on that one. Like I said, that last part, that's just nothing but fun me and fan me, just thinking of it as a pure fan. But I would love to hear from you guys on that one. But, after every game, we do go over the winners and losers in yesterday's game. And the biggest loser, again, continues to be Thomas Brown. And that's no knock on Thomas Brown. Again, I think that Thomas Brown could be a really good offensive coordinator from what we saw when he was just focused on the offensive coordinator. But head coach, it is what it is. This team is undisciplined, and that's not all on Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown inherited a sinking ship. And that is part of the reason why he even has the job, because it was sinking, and Matt Eberflus needed to get the fuck out of town. But when it comes down to it, it is what it is. Like, as a head coach, you're judged by everything, and our defense sucked last night. The offense couldn't convert on third downs either. Most of our offense, 360 of our yards came from Caleb Williams at 380 yards. Like, a lot of it came down. It wasn't good, right? And, it is what it is when it comes down to that. But, Thomas Brown, I hope that he lands on his feet because he deserves an opportunity. He really does deserve an opportunity. Another loser, Tyrique Stevenson. Tyrique Stevenson hasn't been the same since the Hail Mary. He's had some flashes, he's had some plays, but overall, it is what it is. He dropped what could have been an interception in this game that really could have changed some things. It probably could have been a pick six on top of all of that. But because he did not, the Lions end up putting up points on the board, right? And so, it is what it is when it comes down to it. He allowed an 82-yard touchdown as well to Jameson Williams. Jonathan Owens also was a loser in this game because he was on that play as well. But overall, and I would say our secondary overall has just not lived up to the expectations at all, right? But let's get into some of the winners. Caleb Williams, absolutely. When you look at Caleb Williams being responsible for so much of the Bears' offense, 26 of 40 on passes, 330 yards for a QB rating of 107. He also led the Bears in rushing yards at 36. 2 touchdowns as well. Yeah, Caleb Williams is a winner in this game. Maybe I need to change it from winners and losers because I don't feel right calling anybody a winner on a 9-streak losing team. I don't feel comfortable in that. But, Caleb Williams for right now, he was definitely, and Keenan Allen was a great player in last night's game as well. 141 yards, 45-yard touchdown from Caleb Williams as well in that second quarter. And we'll see. There's a lot of doubt still on if the Bears are going to re-sign Keenan Allen. But I tell you what, Keenan Allen has built a little bit of something here with Caleb Williams. And if he's willing to take a team-friendly deal, I can absolutely see him coming back as well. But that's really it. I don't have a lot. Rome Odunze in the second half as well. Right, we do got to talk about Rome Odunze. 4 passes for 77 yards, a 30-yard completion as well on that. But those 2 fumbles that he had, it's hard for me to give anybody a winner when you had 2 fumbles early in a game that contributed to our first 3 drives being trash. But Rome Odunze played a much better second half of football. And let's hope that we see more of the second half from him next year than what the first half was. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearcentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related. That's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.